Despite their commitment to peace, the Jedi served as military leaders for the Republic on numerous occasions throughout the millennia. The Jedi preferred to avoid violence whenever possible, but when they believed there was no other choice, there were very few who could match them in battle. With that said, the Jedi weren't always on the same page when it came to which wars they considered necessary. During the Mandalorian Wars, the Jedi Council ruled against involvement in the conflict, while many Jedi disobeyed their orders and joined the fight. During the Clone Wars, the opposite occurred. The Jedi Council committed fully to the war effort, while many Jedi harbored doubts. Some were skeptical enough of the war that they refused their commissions as Jedi generals. But what happened to those Jedi? What fates befell the Order's conscientious objectors? In this video, we'll be answering that question.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
The Jedi are often described as pacifists, but that's never really been accurate. They're called knights for a reason, after all. The Jedi valued peace and non-violent resolutions to conflict more than most, but that didn't make them pacifists. Rather, as Mace Windu put it, the Jedi were keepers of the peace. Their aim was a non-violent, harmonious galaxy, but to reach that goal, the Jedi sometimes needed to take action. There were simply threats to the galaxy that could not be stopped through force, most notably the Sith. The Jedi tried to mitigate violence when they believed it necessary, but they were perfectly willing to use force in pursuit of peace. We're not criticizing this approach by any means. Against threats like Sith, non-violence and pacifism simply add to the death toll, especially when those capable of defending the galaxy choose not to. By the time of the Clone Wars, the Jedi had enough experience with the Sith to know this all too well. But when dealing with other massive threats, the decision to go to war bore further consideration. War with the Sith was always necessary whenever they reared their pale, wrinkly heads, but was going to war really necessary in the Clone Wars? The Council thought so, as they believed the Confederacy of Independent Systems was merely a Sith puppet state. After the Battle of Geonosis, most of the Order went right into Sith war mode, joining the fight on the Republic's behalf as Jedi had done for millennia. Of course, the Clone Wars weren't that simple. In the Sith Wars, the Republic had clearly been the correct side to fight for. It was corrupt, imperialist, and filled with evil, but it was tame when compared to the monstrous Sith empires that sought to destroy it. In the Clone Wars, neither side really had a claim to moral superiority. Many separatists were entirely justified in wanting to break away from the Republic, though the CIS was mostly controlled not by them, but by some of the most evil organizations in the galaxy. On the other side, many who supported the Republic had righteous values and had good reasons to oppose the Confederacy, but they were supporting a repressive empire nonetheless. The Jedi Council didn't see this nuance, only that the CIS was a Sith puppet. They were right about that. They just failed to see that the Republic was a puppet too. Other Jedi had a more nuanced view, however. During the first month of the Clone Wars, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine issued commissions to all members of the Jedi Order, assigning them ranks in the Grand Army of the Republic. Most Jedi accepted and joined the war effort as generals, but many did not. Some of these Jedi participated in the war effort in non-command roles, acting as spies or carrying out more unique tasks for the Grand Army of the Republic. Some Jedi, however, refused to participate in the war altogether. Most of the Jedi who refused to fight in the Clone Wars did so under the right of denial. This ancient tradition allowed Jedi to refuse orders from the Council, but mandated that they give up their lightsabers and legal authorities, becoming Jedi only in name. The exact details of this tradition were apparently followed to different extents, since some of the Jedi who refused the call to war under the right of denial kept their lightsabers anyway. Jedi who exercised the right of denial were seen as traitors by the Republic, but the Jedi Council didn't allow them to be treated as such. The Republic took no action against Jedi who gave up their lightsabers instead of joining the war, but most loyalists didn't exactly think well of them. One prominent example of Jedi exercising the right of denial during the Clone Wars was the Almas Academy, an unorthodox Jedi sect based in the Kularan system. Upon receiving the call to war, the entire staff of the Almas Academy handed in their lightsabers, announcing that they claimed the right of denial. The Republic blockaded the Kularan system in response, but otherwise took no action against the Academy. Jedi who objected to serving in the Grand Army of the Republic held their views for various reasons. Some believed that war between the CIS and Republic was unnecessary, believing that a diplomatic solution to the conflict could be found and should be pursued. Others weren't so optimistic but believed that the Republic was just too corrupt to deserve Jedi support, typically believing that the Order should be neutral instead. A few took this a step further, arguing that the Jedi were fighting on the wrong side. It was indisputable that the Republic was corrupt, they believed, and thus the Jedi should fight for the Confederacy. There were also some Jedi who initially heeded the call to war but later deserted the Grand Army. One such Jedi, Kakruk, did so after the Battle of Tyr, in which most of his army was wiped out. The carnage caused a shift in his beliefs, and he began to wonder if all the bloodshed was really necessary. After Tyr, he abandoned his command. Kakruk's story was far from unique. Many other Jedi had a change in heart upon experiencing the horrors of war. The Jedi in the Republic were initially content to leave Jedi Conscientious Objectors alone. However, the Sith were not. Early in the war, Count Dooku recruited many Jedi who believed that the Confederacy was on the right side of the war, turning them to the dark side and making them his Dark Acolytes. The leader of the Dark Acolytes was Sora Bulk, a renowned Jedi Master who Dooku had converted shortly after the Battle of Geonosis. During the early months of the war, Bulk kept his fall to the dark side and support for the Separatists a secret. Instead, he pretended to be just another conscientious objector, and he used his stature as a Jedi Master to turn other conflicted Jedi. 3 months into the war, Bulk assembled a conclave of anti-war Jedi on the moon, Rule. Among those who heeded his call were Kakruk, the Jedi Master Sian Geetsly, and the Jedi Knights Rad Tarn and Mira. Bulk requested that Mace Windu come meet with them under the pretense of avoiding a schism in the Jedi Order, but this was a trap. The night Windu arrived to make the case for serving the Republic, Bulk summoned Asajj Ventress to rule. Ventress and Bulk fought a mock battle until Windu and the others arrived, after which Ventress announced to Windu that she had carried out the Jedi Council's orders and fled. Ventress and Bulk's deception was eventually revealed, but not before Tarn was drawn to the dark side and both he and Mira were slain. After the incident on Rule, Geetsly and Kakruk returned to the fight. Over the course of the Clone Wars, a number of other Jedi abandoned the war effort. A few left the Jedi Order entirely, choosing to go into self-imposed exile before it was cool. After the war's end, the Empire hunted down the remaining Jedi objectors as part of the Great Jedi Purge. Their refusal to fight, or in some cases, their abandonment of the Order, meant nothing to the Sith. They were hunted and killed all the same. However, it should be noted that Jedi who refused to join the Clone Wars had a higher rate of survival than Jedi Generals did. Some outlasted the Dark Times, with a handful joining Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Order after the fragmentation of the Empire. Whether they claimed to be Jedi or not, anyone who had history with the Order was on the Empire's hit list. But what do you think? Would you have fought in the Clone Wars if you were a Jedi? Feel free to post your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.